Coming back downstairs, we'll go Lee, then we'll go Dustin, and then Dwight. Go ahead.
Denny, Mike Ford said before the race that this was one of your worst races. So if this is one of your worst races, and this is as well as you did, can't you go into Dover with the same kind of optimism?
I can. The number in which I hope to run just moved up like 5 spots. So that's just what we have to do. And it's not that we just run bad at Dover every time. It's just every time I went there, I either wrecked or broke something or ran terrible. So it's with the exception of the spring, that's about the only good run I've had there. So yeah, we do shift our expectations based off of this week.
Okay, let's go Dustin, and then we'll go Dwight. Go ahead. Can we get Dustin a mic over here? You guys
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. I've got a question for each. Jamie, if you can talk about maybe the intensity of the restarts. Certainly today we saw a lot of 3-wide racing, and I think we've seen that intensity at times this year, but it seems like maybe things have picked up from your perspective, and I've got a question for Denny also.
Well, I only started outside the top 3 on one restart. Most restarts I started on the outside of the front row, so it's a lot different when you start in the first couple of rows because the guys are willing to give and take a little bit. I did have one restart in 25th, and it's significantly different. And the thing about this racetrack is that you race on the apron at certain points in the race. However, on the restarts, this is like the worst track that we go to for getting the car going. You saw 2 or 3 guys spin out Friday just leaving the pits because it's so slick. And when the inside guy enters on the apron, it's really hard to hang on to your car. So it's different, I think, than what you see at Pocono when people talk about wild restarts. Here, it's just hard to keep the car underneath you.
And also for Denny, if you can talk about, I guess, the emotions, if nothing else, of the last 100 laps, and from what a good run to down to thinking where you're going to be in the chase. I'm wondering how much you were calculating how bad it was going to be if you were thinking points, and how your mood is so much maybe different from what it was maybe 45 minutes ago.
It's high and it's low, but you just, you got to keep your emotions in check. I kind of went on, got mad on the radio for like 10 seconds, and it was like, all right, what do we got to do? Just tell me what we got to do to get back up there. And so there's nothing you can do about it. As soon as you're spun and you're backwards, immediately your focus has got to go to get a good day out of this. What can we do to get a good day? Whether it's, all right, now we got to play strategy to get back up front, or we just hope that there's other attrition. But either way, we just normally, I think years ago I really would have kind of flipped out, but I think now it's just a little bit more relaxed.
Okay, let's go to Jay Hart, Lee Spencer, and then back up to Coble.
Denny, it sounds like you have the manage of expectations is sort of the strategy that you have, and you're talking about constantly changing it. Is it part of that you can, it minimizes maybe some frustration, and what, do you have an expectation for every single track that you want to, have you calculated that out, what you want to do for every single track?
Yeah, in my mind, I wanted to be within 60 points of the lead after the 3rd race. That, to me, after the first three races, I feel like we have some excellent racetracks coming up for us, and we always tend to make a good run at the end of the chase every single year. No matter where we're at in points, the last 5 races or so always seems to be pretty good for us. So I just want to be within shouting distance, I guess you could say, for the first 3 weeks, and then kind of play damage control and make sure we stay in the ball game in the 4th quarter.
Is that what you were doing in the car then when you said, okay, top 15, because obviously top 15 is what you wanted?
No, but I think I found myself, if it would have been just a touch more aggressive when we restarted 22nd with 80 to go, I probably would have ended up wrecking, and then we would have been 30-something or 40-something. At the least, I was going to finish 22nd if I just backed off and let everyone go. So my goal was just to pick up 7 cars in the last 80. Then a couple people pit. This strategy happens, and next thing you know, you just shift your expectations. So I was really just happy there was no caution at the end for any reason, and we got to see some good strategy play out.
Let's go Don, Mike, and this gentleman here. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is for Jamie. You're right up there in front, and you were just you had chase people all around you all day. Do you have to just kind of separate the fact that they're in the chase and just race your race? Is it too much to think about, to say, well, I got to be careful around him, but I can race him hard, I can't race? I mean, do you just have to just say, I have to race?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you probably can be more aggressive around the chase guys because they are thinking differently than what the guys are that aren't in the chase. But really, I didn't. Over the last few years, you don't think about that until it comes down to the last 2 or 3 races. There's a ton of racing left. I mean, I know you guys, there's only 10 left, but a lot can happen in even in 2 or 3 races. So really, until it gets down to the last couple of races, I don't pay a tremendous amount of attention to that.
Let's go to Mike, and then this gentleman here, and then to Dwight. Go ahead.
Jamie, I guess you were quoted as saying, I guess before the chase, that you would, gladly trade, your 2 big wins this season, with Clint for that 12th chase spot. And, given how he won today, would you still make that trade for a win in the chase? And this result for you being as good as it was, does it make it bittersweet for you?
Yeah, well, what I said was that I wouldn't trade winning those races to be in the chase and finish 10th. And I still wouldn't trade those 2 wins to be in the chase right now. It's just it's a really big deal to win those 2 races, and I mean, to win Loudon is a big deal, but it's still not the Daytona 500 or the Brickyard 400. So no.
But to be in the chase, you still would.
Yeah, no, I still wouldn't.
Okay, let's go to this gentleman here, and to Dwight. Go ahead, sir.
Justin St. Louis, Vermont Motorsports Magazine. Jamie, how confident is your team for next year? I mean, you guys are really on a roll, and you just missed it. And today, you proved that you belong, perhaps, in the chase.
Yeah, we just were really inconsistent earlier in the year, and really the last couple weekends we've become a lot more consistent. We did not have a good car at Richmond at all, and we still finished 17th. Or earlier in the year we would have finished 25th to 30th. So that certainly would have put us in the chase. So we've done a really good job at, for me, staying out of trouble, and we've had really good cars again all year long. And I know Denny is not looking forward to Dover, but for me, it's probably my favorite track to get to go to. We ran really well there in the spring, so certainly running well here. I can't wait to get to Dover on Friday.
Let's go to Dwight, and then we'll see where we are. Go ahead.
Dwight from RaceTech.com. Jamie, you probably worked just as hard the first year you broke into Cup but given the year that you're having, can you kind of share the emotions that you have, say, when you first started out to what you're feeling this year, having such a great year?
Well, my first year, certainly filling in for Sterling, that was really tough to get in somebody's car that had led the points up until the Kansas race. I mean, that was it's an awkward position to be put in, and then to go out and win at Charlotte. And I don't know if you guys remember, but they put a cell phone with Sterling on the other end while I was on national TV, and me on the other end. And that's a really tough position to be put in. That's hard for any driver to get out of their car, but I think for a young guy to get in your car and win immediately, that's tough. That was odd for Sterling and for me. And certainly the racing is a lot different now than what it was in 2002 or 2003. I remember restarts, being able to pass 5 or 6 guys on the outside of every restart, and some of the guys that had been around for a long time, whether it was Rusty or Mark or those guys, yelling at you after the race, like, "Why just hang on until we get strung out?" And now, when they have, you can't hardly pass anybody on a restart now because everybody goes so fast and so hard. It's a lot different than it was then.
Any other questions? Okay, guys, great first race in the chase. Good luck next week.